Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Apisacle, and I'm the Executive Director of the USC Dornsife Admission and Student Success Office. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. We are here today to talk about the pre-health experience at USC. Pre-health is a term that we use here at USC to describe students interested in a wide range of health professional fields, including medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, physical therapy, physician assistants, and others. I am wondering what pre-health field you are all interested in right now. So I'm going to be launching a poll in just a second. Let's see here. Great. So I am wondering if you have a sense of which area you're interested in. If you could go ahead and click into that box, take a quick second to click on your answer. Great. It looks like most of you have gone ahead and share and answered. And as you can see here, most of you did indicate an interested in going into a field in medicine. So that is very typical. Most of our pre-health students at USC are pre-med students, but please rest assured that our pre-health academic advisors also work with students who are interested in attending graduate schools other than medical school. Pre-health is a pre-professional emphasis at USC, meaning that it's not a major and it's not a minor. This means that any student of any major can declare themselves pre-health. Although you're certainly welcome to apply to USC as a biological sciences or a human biology major or a health and human sciences major, if that's where your interests lie, you don't necessarily have to. By declaring a pre-professional emphasis in pre-health, you'll be able to work with our pre-health academic advisors to ensure that you receive guidance and advice on the courses and activities you should engage in to prepare for a health professional school, regardless of the major or minor that you select. The common application includes a space for you to indicate a pre-health emphasis on your admission application if you'd like. It helps us to better understand your current goals and ambitions as we review your application. And please don't worry, if you change your mind later on and switch your area of pre-health focus from, say, medicine to dentistry, or if you decide to leave the pre-health path completely, that's okay. While academic advisors provide ongoing guidance to students, we also have other staff members and peers who provide support in formal ways, such as via our supplemental instruction program, and informal ways, such as through mentorship in student organizations. I would say that our USC community is centered on support to students, and that the pre-health community is a particularly tight-knit one. Now, we have some amazing students who are part of that pre-health community who are here today to answer your questions and provide you with insight and advice. I'd like to have them turn on their cameras now and introduce themselves briefly. And as they're doing so, I'd like to mention that we will have an opportunity for you to ask questions of our panelists a little later in the program. When we're ready for your questions, we'll ask you to submit them via the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen. Great, so I see our student panelists here, so we'll go ahead and start with Michael.
Alrighty, what's up, everybody? I hope you guys are all doing well. My name is Michael Doncor, but you guys can call me Big Mike. I'm a current senior here at USC. I'm currently double majoring in quantitative and computational biology with a minor in healthcare studies, and I am on the pre-med track, just like many of you guys. I am originally from Columbus, Ohio, so any shout out to the Midwesterners out there. On campus, I'm involved in our kidney disease screening and awareness program. I conduct research in our School of Gerontology. I'm also VP of African Americans in Health. Very excited to speak to you all today.
Great, thanks. Bella.
Hi, my name is Bella. I'm a senior at USC. I'm from Bozeman, Montana, and I am a health and human sciences major and Spanish minor. I have a general pre-health emphasis, and on campus, I'm involved in Trojan Health Interpretation Services, Flying Samaritans, and I've also conducted some community service at the Keck Medical School, all of which I'll talk about later.
Great. And last but not least, Callista.
Hi guys, my name is Callista and I'm a sophomore here at USC. I'm from Orange County, California, and I'm currently majoring in biological sciences with a minor in stem cell biology and regenerative medicine. I'm pre-med like many of you guys as well, and I'm mainly involved in research and community service here at USC.
Great, thanks so much. Now, I'm going to start us off with a few questions for our panelists, and we want to be sure to answer your questions as well. So again, please feel free to listen along, but also submit your questions via the Q&A box as we go along, and we'll try our best to answer as many questions as we can in the time that we have today. So first of all, I know that each of you shared with us your majors and your minors, the things that you're studying. So I'm wondering if each of you can talk about how your classroom experiences have had relevance to your pre-health pursuits.
Yes, I could start us off. Yeah, so like I mentioned, I'm a quantitative and computational biology major as well as global health. I kind of approached this major. I originally came into USC biology, but as AI and tech is kind of taking over, I've kind of wanted to gain a more background in CS and math. Kind of combine that with the hardcore sciences as well, which is why I kind of approached quantitative and computational biology. And I also got global health as well, because I kind of wanted more application based of medicine and not just the hardcore sciences. My classroom experiences have been very great. I'd say specifically within my computational biology classes is very interesting to kind of see how AI and kind of coding and everything ties in with genome analysis, and all the data sciences as well. So yeah.
Um, I chose my health and human sciences major because I appreciated that it combined the social sciences and natural sciences. So the major requires a foundation in natural sciences. You take general biology and general chemistry. But then in addition to that, you have the opportunity to take classes in psychology, sociology, and international relations, among others. And one of my favorite parts of the major is that there's a capstone experience at the end of the major where you're required to have work experience. So I'm currently completing that credit requirement through volunteering at Planned Parenthood, where I'm participating in policy advocacy, among other things. And this is giving me unique perspective on what post-grad opportunities are available and what the various aspects of health are. Because I originally entered as a pre-med student, and now I just have a general pre-health emphasis because I am happy to say that USC does not have weed out classes, and it wasn't necessarily the difficulty of the courses that pushed me off the pre-med path, but I learned through my various experiences, both in and outside of the classroom, that medicine and going to medical school wasn't my passion like I initially thought. So I think my major has been very valuable because it's introduced me to a variety of experiences, whether it was like my Spanish for the health professions class, which allowed me to conduct community service at Keck Medical School, or if it was just learning about the anatomy of the body and how that might apply to health careers. I have a diverse background in medicine now, I think.
Yeah, so for my major in biological sciences, I kind of chose it because I was good at it. Like that was a little bit plus. It made things a little bit easier for my classes. And then also I think like, cells, plants, like all that cool stuff. Like I'm a little bit of a nerd, so then that kind of appealed to me. I think my minor specifically is something that I really liked as part of my classroom experiences because USC is pretty like unique in that it has a stem cell minor, but combining that with my Dornsife degree in biological sciences, I think it's really helped me kind of have a foundation for research. And with my current research project, it's really helped me get more understanding of like cellular mechanisms and the foundation of what you'll actually apply to if you're looking for a career in like research or medicine or something related to health.
Wonderful. And I'm glad that all three of you have gotten a chance to kind of engage in really different majors and kind of and take different things out of those majors, which is really amazing. And I think that really speaks to the fact that again, you can definitely be any major at USC and still follow a pre-health path. Wonderful. Michael, I know that you mentioned that you've gotten involved in research. So can you tell us about your research experiences and how you found those opportunities?
Yes. So I currently conduct research in our School of Gerontology. If you don't know what gerontology is, it's basically how humans age. I did not know what that was when I first came into USC, and I kind of got started with it my first semester of freshman year. I kind of got that opportunity by getting a work study job, and working in the business office of that building. And essentially, I got close with everybody. I started networking, and they knew I was pre-health student, and they were like, well, why don't you come and do research in the building as well? And I joined the lab through that way. And then I've also conducted research in our Keck School of Medicine. And I essentially got that opportunity by our pre-health advising office, where they sent out emails Basically, a bunch of professors at USC, were research institutions, so a bunch of professors are conducting their own research on the side, and a professor was looking for a research assistant. So they sent this email out. They gave us the descriptions of the types of research these professors were looking for, and I found one that I was interested in. I basically sent him my resume, and my CV, and then I did an interview, and then I got and put it into that lab. So that's essentially how I got the research experience. And then these research PIs have been kind of my mentors throughout my time here at USC. They put me on with other research experiences where I've been able to do research over the summer at different institutions throughout the US. So it's been amazing today as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. So health professions are at their core helping professions. So with that in mind, Bella and Callista, could you talk about a community service activity outside the classroom that's been particularly meaningful for you?
Yeah, I can start off with that. So for USC, there is this one program that's called Trojan Health Volunteers, also commonly known as THV. And it basically provides you an opportunity to volunteer at different local healthcare facilities, for example, USC Keck or there's LA General. I specifically volunteered at USC Keck. And the kind of unique thing about THV is that at Keck, usually when you start volunteering there, you have to spend a certain amount of time working at the front desk. But through this specific program, you're able to work specifically and automatically in the nursing units. And I was able to like see things like like not a huge neurosurgery, but a kind of emergency surgery that happened in one of the unit care, the ICUs, and that was a really cool experience. I'm also the director of engagement for a club called Mobile Clinic at USC, and we provide health screenings for homeless shelter residents in the LA community. And going to these like shelters consistently, like once every 2 weeks, has just been a really fun experience where you really get to see like help these people, help them get better like access to healthcare and just being able for them to be conscious about their own health. And that's just been a really fulfilling experience here at USC.
I chose a minor in Spanish because I had taken Spanish classes in high school and wanted to improve my fluency. And I found that when I got to USC, I was able to combine my health and human sciences major and my Spanish minor, which is especially relevant in a place like Los Angeles, where there's a large Spanish speaking population. So I've been involved in an organization called Trojan Health Interpretation Services, which hosts weekly meetings for students to learn about medical terminology and how you would conduct a health screening or health check-in in Spanish so that you have a better idea of how to conduct those interviews with patients in both Spanish and English, which I think is valuable because not only are you improving your Spanish fluency, but you're also getting exposure to how you would conduct these as a doctor, like in English. So it was valuable for both of those reasons. And then this club is a partnership with a local clinic where you can practice those skills once you've learned them in the weekly meetings. In addition to that, I was a student in Spanish for the health professions, which is something I mentioned earlier, and we had to complete a service learning project. So me and a few other students would drive to Keck Medical School once a week and conduct those same sort of patient check-ins with first-year medical students who were also learning Spanish. So it was another opportunity to improve our Spanish fluency and medical fluency. And then the most valuable experience that I've had in relation to community service is my participation in a club called Flying Samaritans. They conduct monthly free health clinics in Tijuana. So we wake up at 5 a.m. We drive from LA to Tijuana. We set up the clinic in partnership with a low-income clinic that already exists in the area. And then you either spend your time conducting health screenings by taking blood pressure, heart rate, and other basic health measurements, or you're interpreting from the English speaking physician to the Spanish speaking patient. And that's the most valuable because you're seeing the direct impact of your work. Whereas the other opportunities, it's like, here's the potential for what it could be, but with Flying Samaritans, you get to really help people.
How amazing to have that kind of hands-on opportunity as well. So both Callista and Bella, you're able to not only gain experiences and gain knowledge, but you're also able to kind of leave a mark and give back to others. And that's really amazing that you've been able to do that in your time as undergraduates here at USC. Michael and Bella, you've both had a chance to study abroad. So could you tell us about how that study abroad experience has impacted you as a pre-health student?
I can start. I studied abroad in Cape Town, South Africa last spring, and it was the best experience, one of the best experiences that I've had in college. So I highly recommend study abroad to anybody who's interested in it. I'll start by saying that I have found that USC was incredibly flexible in their, or the pre-health path at USC is incredibly flexible in what it will allow students to do. Initially, I came in as a pre-med student and thought that because of all the prereq courses that I have to take and additional requirements for med school, I wouldn't have the time or eligibility to study abroad, and found that due to the flexibility of my degree and its unit requirements and USC's general pre-health atmosphere, I had more than enough space to study abroad. Um, while I didn't complete hands-on pre-health work while I was abroad, I found that being in a different environment and interacting with a new group of people in a new setting, in a new culture, prepared me well for post-grad life and allowed me to see what opportunities existed beyond the classroom, because I no longer existed in the USC bubble or even in the bubble of Los Angeles or the United States. I was in a country where they had different health systems, they had different, different economics, just a different way of conducting life. So I think it was valuable because it allowed me to see what opportunities were available upon graduating.
And yeah, for me, I had the privilege of studying abroad in London a year ago around this time. And I think through studying abroad, I was able to kind of adapt to new environments, communicate across a variety of different cultures. Being in London, the amount of ethnicities in different countries that are all mixed in is kind of a big melting pot, which is really great and really amazing. I was able to kind of step outside my comfort zone. I gained a lot of confidence independently because I basically was doing everything by myself. And I was living and learning in a country that completely challenged me to see the world and myself and kind of like a broader perspective. I said overall, this experience like helped me approach my studies and campus life with a sense of like curiosity and openness. It showed me like the value of cultural exchange and global collaboration, which made me more empathetic and better prepared to kind of work with diverse communities. I also say as a pre-health student, it kind of helps me navigate new systems because the UK healthcare system is completely different than the American healthcare system. And that's completely what I've been normalized to my whole entire life. So kind of going over there and being able to shadow different physicians and being a part of those clinics really helped me as a pre-health student. So yeah.
Great. Thanks to both of you. Back here on campus, are there resources available if you need help, especially in those challenging science courses that a lot of our pre-health students may be a little wary of? And Calissa, do you want to talk a little bit about our supplemental instruction program?
Yeah, so back in last year, I literally went to SI so much to get like resources for especially chem and bio. Those were the big ones. But we were able to get things like for SI leaders, they're basically upperclassmen that are really experienced and knowledgeable about the topic that they're assigned to. So I had one for advanced chemistry and advanced biology, and they have like the best worksheets and good practice problems and basically resources that will help kind of guide you to what you should know, you should understand for exams. And I found that really helpful, especially like going up to exams, knowing what I should study for, knowing through their experience, like what to avoid or, what to work on a little more. And their kind of upperclassmen and more mentorship allowed me to get some tips that I found really helpful in like classes that would normally be pretty challenging. And then we also, outside of like academic resources, we have the pre-health advisement office, which a lot of my friends have told me that they go to them for counseling or to know what courses they should take or if they're on the right track or any resources for being pre-health, not just pre-medicine, but other different types of occupations. And yeah, I would say USC has a lot of different kind of resources that will help prepare you and make you feel assured for being on a pre-health track here.
Great. Thanks so much, Calista. And we do have one more student who's just joined us, Carissa. And so, sorry, I think our campus Wi-Fi is acting up a little bit today. And so, Carissa, do you want to introduce yourself briefly and then we'll kind of go back to our questions?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Carissa. So sorry about that. I'm not on campus right now. So that took a little bit for me to like get on. But I'm currently a senior undergrad student. I'm double majoring in biological sciences and anthropology, and I'm currently pre-med.
Great, thanks so much. We actually have just one more of kind of my first initial questions for all of you, and I'm wondering, whether it's possible to have a normal life, I guess, as a pre-health student. So, I'm wondering, are there any activities that you've been able to engage in just for fun that really have nothing to do with your health-related goals, but maybe are just things that make you whole and make you you in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I do quite often is dance. That was something I didn't want to let go of coming to college. So I've been dancing quite frequently actually now, and I'm actually co-captain of one of the dance clubs here on campus. And actually right now I'm at the public library because another big part of what I do is like community service related things, not necessarily health related. So I volunteer here at the public library. I volunteer with Children's Shelter. And yeah, just like I think finding my place in the community, doing activities outside of healthcare specifically, has been really helpful for me. And I think it's, something I always tell students is to do things that genuinely speak to you and you're passionate about. So not necessarily everything you have to do has to be medicine related because there are skills that are so transferable across all fields.
Yeah, I could follow up with that. I feel like at USC, like there's so many options to do, even if you're like a pre-health. Like I've been to business meetings or like other types of major meetings just for fun with my friends who are in them. It's like not restrictive at all. Like if you want to go to an investment society meeting just for fun, then you can. You're like free to. I also think that there's a lot of different clubs you can join that's outside of pre-health if that's what interests you. I'm personally part of USC Reach, which is a social media club here at USC. And it's been really fun just seeing like other types of majors and other types of people who aren't pre-health, but you guys are kind of like connected through similar interests. And I think you're just like at USC, there's just such a big community and everyone just has so many different kind of facets to themselves that just because you're a certain major or just because you're on a certain professional track that like would never restrict you from exploring or experiencing new things.
Yeah, and I'd also say I'm completely the opposite of like what people would consider as a pre-health student, thinking that it's like cutthroat and everything. I'd say like I have so much time. I'm able to also go out into LA and explore all the time. I love getting a matcha. I've become a matcha person since I've came to LA, which I didn't plan to be, but it's happened. I think like even how Calista was saying how she goes to some business meetings and stuff like that. I'm actually going to like a investing 101 thing on when tomorrow actually, just because I'm interested in investing. One of my friends is the president of the club, so it's just like why not? I think a lot of the students here at USC are able to kind of infiltrate spaces that are not, I guess, normal to them, and I think USC creates a culture for that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say that there's a club for everyone, there's a class for everyone, and there's an experience for everyone. So you get 18 units of credit, or you have space for 18 units of credit each semester. So I've spent my elective credits on hip hop dance class, guitar class. Last fall, I took a class through the School of Cinema about the Barbie movie, and they had people who had participated in the Barbie movie in some way come in and speak about their experiences. That was really valuable. There's a club for everyone. There's USC Scream, which is about roller coasters. There's dance clubs. There's affinity groups. There's food tasting clubs. My favorite club at USC that's not health related is SC Outfitters. It's one of the outdoors clubs here on campus. And there are student guides. I'm one of the student guides that lead trips off of campus and into the outdoors, whether camping, hiking, swimming, or otherwise. And then, like Michael was saying, there are plenty of opportunities within Los Angeles to explore the city, meet new people, engage in culture in different ways. So you can absolutely have a normal life as a pre-health student at USC. And I don't think that you're restricted in any way by your studies.
What great advice, and how amazing to hear about all of those great opportunities that all of you have gotten a chance to take part in, whether it was through a club or just self-generated in a sense. How amazing. We're going to take some audience questions now via the Q&A box, and I also want to direct your attention to the Answered tab within the Q&A box. Some of my colleagues from the Dornsife Admission and Student Success Office may be responding to some of your questions via that Q&A box, and if they respond to it, just by typing, it will show up in the Answered tab. But the first question that I want to get to that someone has asked in our Q&A is about I think Michael kind of started on this a little bit, but about the culture of the student community, the pre-health culture of the student community here. So would you say that the pre-health culture at USC leans more collaborative or competitive? How would you describe the student environment here when it comes to your peers who are also pursuing a pre-health path?
I would say for sure collaborative. That's at least been my personal experience here. I also work with the pre-health advising office. And so again, I know kind of how student driven that office really is. And I've had the honor to like work with other peer advisors in the office. And the whole program is all about sharing our experiences and resources with incoming students who are or maybe have just switched into pre-health or are interested in pursuing a pre-health track. So it's kind of like all like I'd say there's really not any like, gatekeeping here. And genuinely a lot of the information and resources that I've gotten are also from other like upperclassmen or my peers. And also just because genuinely everyone here is like on their own path, like such an individual path for everybody. It's so unique that every person I meet kind of just has their own perspective on medicine and healthcare. And so we kind of just learn from each other and inspire each other. And yeah, we're all kind of pursuing different things.
Anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, I think, oh, go ahead.
No, you can go.
Okay. Wait, I also agree with that. I think like USC is very collaborative, especially with from my experience. I've gotten so many resources and just advice and like tips from upperclassmen. Like the upperclassmen here have just been so like kind and just really, really helpful in knowing what to apply for or knowing what to study and what classes to take. And it, like honestly, without them, like half of the things I was able to like I'm lucky enough to be able to have such as scholarships or certain research programs or experiences are through finding that out from my peers. And I think just being able to have the sort of community that wants you to succeed and wants you to really have the best shot you have at what you want to achieve in your life is honestly what makes USC such a good community, in my opinion, for pre-health.
Bella, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd also like to add one thing. I'm a senior now, so being underclassman, I guess a lot of my experiences and a lot of my opportunities and stuff also came from my mentors, not just my peers. A lot of my mentors now, like I call them like my aunties and my uncles away from home, which I built that relationship with them, and it's just really cool and really amazing. And now, even as a upperclassman, I found myself giving opportunities to other underclassmen now. Like I said, I was a VP of a health org here, and I've created a resource sheet for these underclassmen to get these internship opportunities, these research opportunities. So our community here is very collaborative, is very supportive. So yeah.
Yeah, I second what everyone else has said. I don't think I have anything else to contribute.
Great, thanks to all of you. On the note, I guess this leads me really nicely into the next question that appeared here. We have someone who's worried about, you've been talking, all of you have been talking about all these amazing research and internship and service opportunities that are available. Is getting involved in things, especially research, competitive here? So as far as, are there only a certain limited number of spots and only the best of the best get those spots? How does it work to actually seek out and find or secure research opportunities here as an undergrad?
Yeah, I can start with that. I mean, I came into college without any prior research experience. And so, and genuinely, I feel like everyone I know, like anyone who has wanted a research position, like has never not gotten one in a timely manner. So for me, I kind of first just cold emailed professors. And I kind of like that can be a little daunting, but genuinely, I think most professors are very open to mentorship. And so actually that first lab that I joined is kind of mostly undergrads, which is pretty kind of not the most common, I would say, but it again shows just like how much they're willing to mentor new students. And again, you don't have to, because kind of regardless how advanced you are in your like background, every new lab you join is kind of working on very novel research. So you don't have to worry about like coming in with prior knowledge. It's more that showing you have the dedication and you have the flexibility to like learn and adapt, and you can, you know, show up on time, you can be professional, you're willing to learn. I would say those are the qualities people mostly look for. And then I found my second lab, it's a clinical lab through something called the Trojan Research Association. So that's actually a student org created by students to kind of connect other students looking for research opportunities with mentors. And so I got that this next position kind of a year after I kind of gotten a position on my own already, but I decided to keep it because it was so different from the current research position I got. So it's clinical research, so it's kind of on the opposite spectrum of the research pipeline. And I thought I could learn some really useful skills that way. And that's also pushed me to learn a lot of different skills. So for example, talking about medicine or clinical skills, I've kind of gotten my phlebotomy license, being inspired by that as well. So I can help with blood draws in the lab. So yeah, it's not very, definitely you have to do the work to like kind of reach out, but usually once you've reached out, there's kind of always a response somewhere.
Yeah, I can add to that. Honestly, like research is probably my favorite part about being, not to sound super nerdy, guys, but yeah, research has been probably my favorite part about being a pre-med. I'm actually at lab right now. That's a little secret though. But personally, through my experience, I started during the high school before I entered USC. And I cold emailed two professors. I'm personally really interested in cleft lip and palate and craniofacial abnormalities. So I emailed two that were basically very involved in that here at USC. And both of them said yes. So I kind of just chose the one that their topics align more of what I saw as like a professional goal and like craniofacial surgery and things like that. But the experience has honestly been amazing. Like at USC, you work with some of the top researchers in any field, and they're so knowledgeable, and at the same time, like they're very kind and great for mentorships. Like what Michael said, there's been like, so many things that I wouldn't have understood, and things like reading a research paper or looking at a presentation. When I first started, I had no idea what, like I knew what cells were, but I had no idea how these contributed towards these like certain conditions and things like that. And the community around here, just like the research community, allows you to understand so many things that you'll take with you to your clinical applications or just anything in the like a health professional track. But yeah, I personally really recommend research here at USC.
Anything anybody else want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think they touched on a lot of the good things. I just want to add a short little thing that, like, heavy on the you don't need prior experience to kind of get involved. I've done like I'd say four or five, I think five research experiences, and one that I've been to has been something completely different, and I did not know what was going on. And look at me, I was still able to get it, and I learned throughout the process. It's all about the process and learning through that. So don't feel intimidated that you don't know what's going on. Like you'll learn through it, and all the research PIs know that. Like even if you don't have experience prior, you'll be able to gain it through doing the experience over time. So yeah.
What advice do all of you have about starting when you should start research at USC? Because I know that that's something, there are some students who are probably on this webinar thinking, oh my goodness, to do this, I'm going to have to start, from my first day on campus. I have to go start looking for a research lab to work with and everything, or is it better to wait a little bit? I guess, what do you all feel your perspective has been?
Oh, for me personally, I started the summer before my sophomore year. I did start reaching out kind of that spring semester or like a little bit before spring semester freshman year. But actually, most professors I've spoken with tend to advise students to wait until a full year just to give yourself time to like get acquainted to things and the pace of things in college. So I think, sophomore year, summer before sophomore year, those are all great times to start.
Same.
I
I
think,
see. Go ahead.
sorry. I think like a big thing that students should look out for is that there's no set time for when you should do research. Like I personally started early and I really enjoyed it, but that's also because I'm from California, so I was able to have that experience. But from what I found, like whether you start or like freshman or sophomore year, I think what's more important is that you find a lab and you find a research topic that you're actually passionate about, because thinking realistically, you're going to be in this lab likely until you graduate. Like it should be something you're passionate about and something that every day you walk into the lab, you're like, I'm exploring this thing and I'm learning more about this and I could contribute this to other areas of the world. And that should be something that excites you and like fascinates you. So I think if it takes you a little longer to find a lab that has a topic that you're passionate about, then it's definitely worth it. And I don't think anyone should feel pressured to choose a topic that might not be as interesting to them just to be in a lab or just to have research. But yeah, like I think my main recommendation is make sure you choose something like you're happy about and don't feel stressed out in a way that'll make you sacrifice that.
For sure. And also just like you don't have to be afraid to like switch labs as well if you find that the first lab you join might not be a good fit. I know plenty of people who have kind of moved between labs. And yeah, it's really not about how long you stay in a lab, but how kind of deeply you can speak to what you have learned in those labs. So I also know students who have only just started lab in like junior year, research just in junior year. So there's no timeline necessarily that you have to compare yourself to.
Now, all of you have really different majors, and so I guess one of the questions that is in the Q&A is about what is the best major, or is there a best major if you're hoping to follow a pre-health path or a particular pre-health path? Are there any recommendations about a particular major out there that that students gravitate toward?
I would say no, there's no one best major. USC offers the support through the pre-health advising office for students to fulfill their pre-med requirements by the time that they graduate college. So I'm a health and human sciences major, which is a major with a broad, or is supposed to be a broad pre-health major. That being said, it doesn't offer, or not all of the pre-med requisite classes are required for major credit. So I've taken 2 semesters of general biology, 2 semesters of general chemistry, 2 semesters of organic chemistry. I'm currently in my second semester of physics. And then next semester, I'm also taking biochemistry. And of those like 8 courses that I just listed, plus their sociology, them or 3 semesters worth of courses are required for my major. So that's to say that whether you're biochemistry, health and human sciences, or something completely outside the health sciences field like English, there will be space within your degree to take the necessary classes. So do what interests you're going to be spending your time learning, and know that the classes that you have to take for pre-med will also fit into your schedule.
Excellent advice. We mentioned the pre-health advising office earlier, so I'm wondering if I know Callista touched a little bit on it, but I guess I'm wondering if any of you have any specific resources or programs or workshops or anything that is offered by the Office of Pre-Health Advising that you'd like to highlight.
Yes, I will actually plug right now because I work for the pre-health advising office as well. We also kind of just revamped our shadowing program for this year. So you can apply to kind of join the Explorers pathway, which is for more underclassmen, freshmen, sophomores. There will be workshops throughout the year, things like that to kind of help you figure out your place and like your professional track to like planning to apply to med school or any pre-health professional school. And then kind of for upperclassmen, you can apply to the shadowing program where you get 40 hours of shadowing. You get paired with physicians at Keck. So I'm currently in that program as well, but I don't start the official shadowing until spring semester. But yeah, you get 1 semester of shadowing. That's a great way to like get exposure because shadowing can be a little bit tricky. It can be a little harder to connect with physicians yourself. So through that program, it's a really great way to kind of just have this structured program for you to get connected with physicians. We also have like a lot of MCAT prep, like scholarships and workshops that happen occasionally. I myself am a peer advisor, and the staff advising program is also great. But peer advising is you don't need to have an appointment prior. I believe we're going to be starting up some virtual advisement soon this semester as well. But for right now, it's drop-in advising. You come into the office. I've also co-piloted kind of revamping that lounge space. So you can come in, there's a massage chair, there are beanbag chairs, there's a standing desk, there's a coffee machine. So you can come in, rest up, speak with us peer advisors, and kind of give you the inside scoop on like things that, maybe the staff advisors can't help with, but the staff advisors are great for more specific, like tailoring your actual like degree progress and like when to do your MCAT, like things like that. And the peer advisors are great for like, okay, how can I like specific questions about like which classes or how did I study for this class or where did I do clinical hours, like things like that. Yeah, that was a long spiel, but definitely there are a lot of resources here.
Very complete. And I do want to reiterate, I mentioned it at the very beginning, but the pre-health advising office is open to any student of any major. The only requirement is really that you're interested in a pre-health path. And so I know that we had a question in the Q&A as well about the support that's offered to students who are non-science majors who are interested in following a pre-health path. And yes, any of these opportunities, the research, the volunteer work, the study abroad, any of these, working with the pre-health office, all of these are open to any student of any major. So you don't have to, as Bella said, you don't have to feel like your major choice is the thing that determines the rest of your path in a sense. There's no best major, there's no one path to follow when you're talking about the pre-health path. So we have a question in here about the Freshman Science Honors Program. I think, Callista, you were involved in the Freshman Science Honors Program. And so the question is, do you have any insight into the workload and what kind of environment does it tend to be? In other words, again, competitive or collaborative, tight-knit, and any other, I guess, anecdotes you want to share about the types of special projects or field trips that you take advantage of as part of that program?
Yeah, I actually really liked FSH, Freshman Science Honors. It's like a 1-year program where you take advanced general chemistry and advanced general biology. With this program, the class sizes are smaller, so I personally found more like I like a little bit of a smaller environment because I think it's just a little bit easier to ease into. And I found that it made me have a lot easier time making study groups or friends or getting to know my professors. I also think that the trips are pretty cool. There's one where you go to Catalina Island, which I personally didn't go to, but you sleep over there. And I was really jealous of my friends who did go into that trip. One also unique thing about FSH is that for the Advanced General Bio Lab, you're put into more of a research-directed lab rather than kind of the general biology one. And through that, you're able to kind of get more hands-on experience. I think one of the things that we were able to do in the fungi lab was get a small publication through the last semester of it. And in addition, one of my friends who was in FSH further went on from her lab and joined the lab of one of the professors there, which she looks at sea urchins and stuff like that in marine biology, which has been really interesting. In terms of like collaboration, I think everyone there is really motivated and it just puts you in that mindset where it's like it's fun. Like sometimes studying isn't fun, but when you find like this group of people who are motivated to do well, like it makes you want to try harder too. And I think that's something I really need because I really like a community that inspires me to push and inspires me to work hard. And I thought FSH really was able to help me accomplish that. Oh, and then in terms of workload, because I know they mentioned it, I honestly think it's manageable. I don't think that like it's something you should really stress out about because I think with like sorry for the ramble. I think with any general bio or advanced bio, regardless, it's going to be a little bit of effort, obviously. But as long as you put in the work and as long as you use different resources and try your best, like I assure you, you guys will be fine.
Great, thanks, Calista. And just as a reminder, the Freshman Science Honors Program is for Dornsife majors only, but it's something that you would apply to after you've been admitted to USC, so nothing that you have to worry about right now. We have a question about class sizes and whether basically, I guess this person is wondering, is it easy to get to know professors? Because I know that some of your intro level classes can be on the larger side. And so what is that experience like getting to know professors, especially in your science classes?
Professors are really open to speaking with students. Professors have office hours, usually multiple times during the week that you can go to ask questions about the class or to ask questions about their research or generally connect with them. So even when you're in large classes, like 100 or 200 person classes, I think that professors are very accessible, both before and after class and during their office hours.
Yeah, and then now as I'm kind of like in upper div classes, those are much, much smaller. And so the professors really know everyone by name. They encourage you to go to office hours. And if you can't make their appointed times, they are very open to setting up like times that work for you, and then you can have one-on-one time with them. So yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've kind of learned here is like just being more open to mentorship, reaching out to professors, because I had a lot of trouble with that in high school. So I think, yeah, definitely coming here, realizing, oh, they're so open to having conversations with us and just learning how they've gone to where they are now, I think is very, very valuable. So not only is it really like help with class material, but just learning about kind of their path and through science or academia or anything else like that, I think is very, very valuable.
Great. Michael and Bella, there's a question, I guess a follow-up question about your study abroad experience. And so someone is wondering whether it's difficult to kind of balance that study abroad opportunity with also, all of the other things that you're doing, to prepare to be a pre-health student, all the other classes that you have to take, how rigorous the courses can be. Is it difficult to kind of work in a study abroad experience when you're facing that kind of rigorous workload with your pre-health classes?
Yeah, I would say no. I initially came in not wanting to study abroad. But then like my sophomore year, I was like, I need a change of scenery. And I was like, I went to go talk to my advisor and we kind of planned out a timeline and what semester, what time would work best for me to study abroad. So it's not difficult. It's just more so like if you're willing to do it, if you want to do it, you kind of have to go take that action. Don't just like sit around and be like, oh, maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I made that decision that I wanted to. So I went to go talk to my advisor and we kind of planned that out and it kind of worked out that way. And I wouldn't say it's like difficult to balance with all my prereqs and everything. I think it's better actually. It kind of gave me like a little breather as well. Though when I was abroad, I wasn't taking my prereqs. I was taking other health related courses. It kind of gave me new idea of kind of medicine as well, going abroad as well. Because obviously American medicine is different than other countries as well. So being able to see that was really interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, to expand upon that a little bit, you can't, or American medical schools don't want you to take your prereq courses when you're abroad. They prefer that you take them at American universities. So you are kind of forced to take a breather, like Michael said, by taking your major related classes. And if you're choosing a major that you're interested in, then ideally you'll find the classes interesting. So I took three major related courses while I was abroad, and they were all social science courses. One was called Culture and Social Life, one was Introduction to Medical Anthropology, and the third was Crime and Deviance in South African Cities. And I thought that was really valuable because in addition to being in a new environment, I was learning about that environment. So my classes talked about apartheid in South Africa. They talked about the way that political and economic systems are different and how they interact with population. So I thought that learning experience was very valuable. And obviously, this is institution dependent, but at the University of Cape Town, they're exam based more than they are assignment focused. So my exams were worth 60% of my grade, my midterms were worth 40. We didn't have weekly assignments, or the workload was a lot lower than it was at USC. Um, so I had a lot of free time to explore the city outside of my classes, which was nice. So I recommend I recommend study abroad because yeah, it gives you a nice break from your routine at USC.
Definitely. I would also venture to guess it'll make you both into more interesting health professional school applicants as well, because you can talk about some different perspectives that you gained while you were away. Amazing. I am wondering about gap years. And so we have a question from someone who's wondering about whether it's common for students, again, to take a gap year or two between their undergraduate years and going off to a health professional school. Or any of you opting or deciding to or considering taking a gap year or two before going on to a health professional school? So no, there's not between high school and college, but on the other end between college and graduate school in a sense. And do you have a sense of whether that's common among your peers?
For sure. I would say it's definitely very common, especially now I'm a senior. A lot of people, I myself came in being very determined, like I'm going to go straight through. I don't want to take a gap year, but actually realizing too, if you read up on the stats kind of like nationally as well, gap years are definitely more and more common. A lot of my friends have taken gap years or currently are on their gap years. I also have a few friends who are doing multiple gap years. I also have a few friends who have gone straight through. So I would say though, with gap years, they're definitely very, very common, and people do some really, really cool things on their gap years. So I have some friends who are doing a Fulbright right now, which is research abroad. I also have friends who are working as like clinical research coordinators or doing a clinical job. So there are some really, really cool things you can do on your gap year. So now I myself am also looking to take a gap year. I'm hoping actually to apply to the PDP program. So that'll be staying one more year here at USC to finish my master's. And then I'll also be continuing with research and working clinically. But that way I also can just give myself a little bit more time to explore other things. I feel like that's really important to me. And even talking about them as gap years, I feel like can be a little, like for me, I think it's important, like not to see everything you do like just to get into med school, because these are very valuable experiences you can have for your own life and skills you can transfer to other things. So I think that's another thing. I think for me, I've definitely learned to, for myself at least, I have this goal of like, I just want to live a very rich, like enriching life like myself as well, and figure out, well, who am I outside of school? Because I think that's a very important question to ask yourself. Yeah.
Michael, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, she basically said everything that I wanted to say. Heavy on figuring out who you are outside of school. Like we've been doing school, but since kindergarten, we've been going straight through. So, med school is long, 4 years, then you have residency and then possibly fellowship. So I think gap years, like Krista was saying, they're definitely more common. And I think it's kind of nice to take a gap year to kind of just sit down and breathe. I know friends, I have a lot of friends who are in gap years. A lot of them are just traveling around the world because they needed that breather. They never got that chance. They've been grinding ever since. So they've been traveling. I have other friends who are also doing research abroad, and the other friends who are just taking that time to study for the MCAT because you don't want to kind of rush yourself. But yeah, it's okay to not have everything figured out, and you can figure it out during those gap years as well. I myself am taking 1 to 2 gap years. And yeah, so.
For sure. And I believe too, the average age of matriculation into med schools is about 24. So actually the average age is people tend not to be going in straight after undergrad.
And the nice thing about that too is, as Michael pointed out, is that it gives you a little bit more breathing room during your undergrad years to do things like study abroad or just spend time with friends or engage in so many other student organizations and community service work, all of the amazing things that you all are doing. I have one last question, and I am wondering why USC? So, I know that the students in the audience are either have applied to USC or are thinking about it very seriously. All of you are amazing representatives of this USC experience, but I'm wondering what it was that drew you to USC, and I guess and whether those things have been realized or have come to fruition.
I could start. I would say what drew me here was, well, being pre-med, I knew I wanted to get the maximum amount of opportunities and resources. And I knew coming to such a big institution like USC, and especially it being a research institution, I would be given those opportunities. And it's definitely shown itself throughout my 4 years here. Yeah, so that's like the main thing, but also like you can't go wrong being in LA. You're in a big metropolitan city. There's lots of things that you can do in the community as well. You're helping out diverse communities, which is something that I want to go into in my future as well. So, like, it's the best decision I've made. But yeah, honestly, it was just all those opportunities and resources that I would get that would make me the person that I am today and to push me to a better post grad school. So yeah.
Yeah, and kind of adding on to that, I think the thing that first drew me to USC was kind of like the academic flexibility and kind of this very interdisciplinary approach that is taken and encouraged here. So I think many students here have different majors and minors, are interested in doing different like service learning opportunities. So many things like that. And then I think over time too, just realizing like really the Trojan spirit. I feel like I've definitely like taken that on over my time here. I feel like I came in quite a timid person and like very, very nervous and shy. And it's not that I'm not that anymore, but I think just like it's very lively here. Like I feel like people just like so invigorated and so passionate, and it does me a lot of good too. Like it gets me excited to start the day, gets me excited about the future. And yeah, just like the collaborative culture and kind of like all the novel things that are happening, like how creative people here are, I think is just so impressive and so inspiring. And it pushes me to be creative as well. And I think that's a really precious thing.
Yeah, I think to add to that, I feel like USC is the definition of like work hard, play hard. And it's like the type of school where I've never seen like someone unable to not only pursue their professional like goals, but also their personal dreams and their personal growth and, you know, their hobbies and stuff like that. And I feel like at this community and the community at USC, it really motivates you to understand that there's so much more to life than just a job and your future professional goals, and that how so many other of these experiences can not only like add to, you know, job applications or medical score, things like that, but just add to like a factor of your life. And I feel like the community here just makes you really understand that like you're able to do so much on top of your professional aspirations.
Yeah, I second what everyone else said. I chose USC because I wanted to be in a diverse urban environment, especially coming from Montana, which is a wider, more rural town. And I appreciated the interdisciplinary opportunities within USC and especially Dornsife and within my major of health and human sciences because I had the combination of social and natural science courses, as I mentioned before, but also within the major, you have to choose an emphasis. And there are 6 different groupings, like sociology and psychology are ones that I mentioned previously. So I felt like I would have a diverse array of classes to be a part of. And I think USC's open enrollment in policy in regards to enrolling in classes across colleges, so whether that's Kaufman School of Dance or the Cinema School, Viterbi School of Engineering or otherwise, really gives you an enriching academic experience in addition to the extracurricular involvements you might have.
Great. Thank you to our student speakers. And thank you all for joining us today and submitting your questions. I want to take just a minute to go over our application deadlines. USC has a non-binding early action admission option for first year or freshman applicants. So if you're planning to apply to a major in USC Dornsife or any major that does not require an audition or arts portfolio, and you're interested in that early action option, please select early action as your admission plan and submit your application by November 1st. This is also the option you would choose if you'd like to be considered for merit scholarships for entering students. If you're not interested in being considered for merit scholarships or you need a little bit of extra time to complete your application, we do have a regular decision deadline of January 10th. For any transfer applicants in the audience planning to apply to a major in Dornsife, February 15th is your application deadline as long as your major does not require an audition or an arts portfolio. If you have additional questions about Dornsife or the application process, we're going to be holding additional webinars in the next week or so. One is tomorrow and one is next Tuesday called Ask Dornsife Admission, where our team will answer your questions as we near the November 1st early action application deadline. We've just put into the chat our contact information. Please feel free to keep in touch, especially if we weren't able to respond to your questions today. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great day and fight on.